Oh, thank you for tuning in. I'm excited to introduce you. It's pronounced Caryn Roth, right?
Mm.
Caryn Roth. I know we share some similarities going into the world of self development and spirituality and finding ourselves. So it's just awesome to see you doing great work. And thank you, Caroline, for connecting us as well. She has a beautiful soul and a really big heart. We were in the same pod together when we were
Wow.
doing the mentor coach stuff for accomplishment coaching. So
Wow.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
always
that
good
is
to be. And Amy, shout out to Amy if you're watching this. We love you. Awesome. So today we're going to be talking a little bit more about unconditional freedom and like why you decide to take on this project and why what are some of the initiatives, like how can people get involved, and just share a little bit more about the initiatives, the nonprofit, and you've been doing it for a while, right? And why you continue to be um the drive and the motivation to serve as many people as possible. So thanks for being on this LinkedIn Live.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's wonderful to be here and giving me the opportunity to share about something that I'm really passionate about. And I want other people to know about it and have the opportunity to get involved if they want. So the nonprofit Unconditional Freedom, it's been around since 2002. It's had a few name changes, but we run across the country. I mean, it's actually a global nonprofit. People do events in Europe and other countries as well. But our big aim and mission is really rehumanization and focusing on marginalized populations. Some of our bigger projects are around homelessness and people who are in prison, but we also work with women, minorities, addiction, kind of all these parts of society that generally our society is really quick to cast off and throw out. With prisons, we're like, okay, these people are bad, let's put them
Mm,
away, let's lock them
mm,
up. Or homeless, like, here's a problem we need to fix, get it out of my backyard, like, let's shuttle them to a different area. So kind
mm,
of these parts of our society that we tend to ignore as a society largely, and really
mm,
put like a us versus them, like, that's bad, this is good.
mm,
And our nonprofit instead really looks at all these areas as huge growth, huge potential. And so instead of saying, this person doesn't should be locked up, we say, oh, there's actually, for people in prison, there's something that got them into prison, and it's a passion and a drive and an impulse,
mm,
and it's likely channeled in a negative direction. But if you actually work with that impulse and harness it and
mm,
get to know it and get intimate with it, that becomes a huge source of genius, potential, purpose. And so we're really looking at all these things. Same for addiction, same for all these different
mm,
areas that we look at. We think, what would be the highest realized form of this? So the visionary behind this nonprofit, Nicole Dajon, when she imagined, okay, what would prisons be in their most realized potential? And so, she wanted to create this environment that people would be, when we're done, people will be lining up to go to prison, because
huh,
we're taking the structure of prison, which is, a lot of isolation, a lot of structured time with
mm,
yourself, um, not a whole bunch to do. It's kind of like a monastery. And so we
mm,
teach yoga and meditation, and we teach these contemplative writing and self-inquiry tools, and work with people on, like, let's get to know what's inside here. And we do a garden program so people can get in the soil and really get that nurturing. And we do a food program inside prisons. And then we have another food program that I'll tell you all about also. But the idea is really like, treat people with dignity, treat them as human, and then let the natural beauty and creativity emerge. But our
mm,
current systems, prisons, we treat people as less than human. It's focused
mm,
on punishment. It's a really,
mm,
degrading, dehumanizing uh, setting. And
mm,
so we we're totally flipping that. And so,
mm,
if by the time we're done, people are lining up for prison, that's a
mm.
that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean that's a beautiful um I think our society can be unforgiving, right? It's like this label of like, hey, and then from what I've done a lot of like landmark work, and
Mhm.
I hear people share about how hard it really is to get back into society and be honestly to be a contributing member of society. And our society, like, I think everyone makes mistakes, right? Everyone has these impulses, and we're all humans, right? We all have sinned, and but it's interesting, like you said, like similar to a monastery, like when you have that much time to reflect and to be introspective, like to be with yourself. I'm sure there's a lot of good that can come from just that, in like the insights and just having perspective as well, right?
Totally. We've had people write to us and say, I feel more free than I ever felt when I was outside prison, after going
Mm.
through our program, and really using the time well, and really using it to reflect and work on themselves, and transform. And,
Mm.
that's what we all want and need, whether
Mm.
you're in prison or not. We're all trapped in different ways,
Mm.
in we can be not physically locked up, but like emotionally in prisons in different
Mm.
ways. And so that's that's the that's part of the program as well, like looking at these ideas that trap us.
Hmm. So it sounds like there's a few different avenues where people can support. Would you share some of the different ways people can contribute to?
Yeah, definitely. So, for our prison program, we have a letter writing program. So you could be a pen pal, and it's really we've had 50,000 people across the country who are in prison, who are incarcerated, have gone through our program. We either send them a physical copy of the book. We have an Art of Soulmaking book, and an Art of Addiction book that we send them. So we either send them a physical copy and they can go through it with a pen pal, or
Huh.
it's provided on tablets. We have about over 800 prisons across the country have access to our program, either physical workbook or with tablets. So you can sign
Mm.
up to be a volunteer, a pen pal, and you read the book and you write back and forth. And that's actually
Mm.
a super huge, meaningful um, thing to get to do. I've learned a
Mm.
lot corresponding with my various pen pals.
Mm.
And then our other program that we have a lot of programs actually, but our
Mm.
other big program is called Free Food, and we do a free farm to table restaurant. So it's a 3-course meal cooked and designed by a chef. We often have guest chefs, and then using all rescued food. So it's saving food
Mm.
waste, and taking this food that would be extra for some people or for a restaurant, really good quality organic produce. We take it and transform it into 3-course meals for people who wouldn't otherwise be able to afford a restaurant. And a lot
Mm.
of the people, like I said, they generally feel invisible. They're pretty ignored by society. And we're saying instead, no, here, please come join us at this restaurant. We're going to serve you a meal. We have wait staff. We have you know, um, like cloth napkins on the tables. We have flowers.
Mm.
So it's everything done to really give people the sense of love and dignity and
Mm.
care, and remind them like you're loved. We value you. You're human. You matter. And
Mm.
the community that we've created through this is so beautiful. We have people who come every week, and then they're like, oh, this is my table and my friends are here. And then
Mm.
some of them, they say, can I volunteer, because they love it so much and they want to make sure other people can have it too. So if you're in Harlem, New York, that's where we have our restaurant. We also partnered recently with Massimo Bottura's nonprofit Food for Soul. He's a famous Italian chef, world famous, Michelin starred Italian chef. And so he helped design the space that we run. So it's a gorgeous restaurant space. We have Gucci chairs, and we have a free restaurant twice a week and a fresh food
Mm.
pantry where we recirculate 3,000 pounds of food to the community. So people
Mm.
can definitely come there. And then, I can tell you, I could talk forever about our programs. You can also, email me or read more on the website. But the biggest thing right now we also need is financial support. And we have one of our donors is doing a $25,000 match right now. So any donations up to $25,000 will be matched. So if you
Mhm.
go to the unconditionalfreedom.org website, you can donate there, and we would be so grateful for your support to keep the programs running.
Is this an anonymous donor or?
It is an anonymous donor. She is really wonderful, and she helped us
Oh.
get into this new space. But she is a phenomenal lady from Los Angeles,
Mm.
who we are lucky to meet. And so she has given us this wonderful match challenge.
Mm.
So
So, wow, so many things that I would love to double click on. So it sounds like there's the I mean, I would love to sign up to be a pen pal.
yeah, you
It's
should
so
do it.
rewarding. So I'll do that right after this. So it sounds like going to the website is the best way right now, whether it's financially, and then in Harlem. So if people want to contribute, are there other locations other than Harlem, or is that the main hub for right now?
Right now, the main hub for our food program is in Harlem. Although, if you're interested in starting your own version, of free food, your own chapter, you can also contact us. I'll put my email, but it's Caryn, Caryn, at unconditionalfreedom.org. We can help you get started. I started the program in the Tenderloin in San Francisco. So we were doing a free restaurant there. Now our Harlem location is the biggest, but it's really wonderful, but you can start it all over. We're also going back into prison. So our program is, the pen pal, but we also teach inside prisons, and we have some transitional programs that we're doing right now in Harlem at Exodus Alternatives to Incarceration. And we're about
Mm,
to start at Edgecombe. And then we're launching in a few prisons in the next month. So that's very exciting. And then
mm,
we have a program called for people who, want something else local they can do. That's part of the nonprofit. We have a program called Women Over Dinner, which is really wonderful. And it's looking at women's power in a different way. And so it's intimate dinners that women have a series of curated prompts talking about women's power and what that means in the modern day, and connection, all these things, relationships, like really just talking honestly and intimately. And that is something you can do anywhere. We host them all over, but there's some in Petaluma, some in Harlem. But we've had, you know, hundreds and hundreds of women do them in,
mm,
in Africa, in Europe, in the
mm,
US, in South America. So that
mm,
you can also do anywhere, and you can sign up online to get a kit and,
mm.
find out more info about that.
We have a first comment. Armando said, "Great work, Karen. Thanks, Davidson." So,
Thanks, Armando.
um, so, okay. So that's helpful. You're reminding me. Oh, I definitely want to connect you with Made Meals. Like one of my this guy I met, he helps incarcerated people become chefs as like a
Oh,
career path. So it
amazing.
could be,
Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
also a good
Yeah,
human being.
definitely connect, because we do that in our kitchen also. So we have formerly incarcerated people come
Ah,
help us cook the community meals that we do. And then
yeah.
meanwhile they get training, and then we've helped them get job placement with some of our local partners, because we have really amazing
Hmm.
chefs who work with us.
That's helpful. And if people are watching and they want to be a local partner, what is the best way? Would it be to email you to get involved?
Yeah, email me, and I can put my number in the chat or whatever also. But yeah, my email is great. We take all sorts of partners. So, we've had people come to our meals who cut hair, who help with
Hmm.
phones, who help with mental health resources. And
Oh,
then we have partners who, give flowers or donate produce or meat or food, like high quality food that we can
hmm,
use for our meals. And then obviously people who want to financially contribute, or we have great corporate events in Harlem. So if you
hmm.
know a company that's based in New York that wants to do a really meaningful team building event, that's
Okay.
something that we can customize and work with. And so we've just had wonderful
Mm.
results from our corporate companies that come and volunteer with us for an evening or a
Um,
day.
that's a good point. So a lot of these companies have like you get a day off to give back to the community.
Exactly.
So it sounds like that's what a lot of companies are doing right now.
Yeah, we had Estee Lauder came and they did 100-person event for their Juneteenth celebration, which was really cool. We've had Gucci, we've had Ferrari, we've had Gusto, we've had just
Hmm.
wonderful companies. And if you're not in Harlem or you're not in New York, but you still want to do something in this mission, we can design an event that's remote and help you plan it. And whether it could be something simple, like we have a gourmet breakfast burrito recipe that
Hmm.
we make, so we could teach you how to do that, and you do that in
Mhm.
your company wherever you are,
Hmm.
and then do it as a free food event, and support the nonprofit in that way.
I'm curious, how many pen pals, how do you go about, are the prisons located mostly in North America, like, or in the US? Are they
Yeah, the prisons that were part of our network right now are all in the US. And we the when you sign up to be a pen pal, um, you do a certification, an online certification that's pretty short, but just gives you an overview of the program and kind of some of the basics, because there's things you do or don't want to write in your letters,
Oh,
that sort of thing.
okay.
And some guidance and training, and then we pair you with someone who's in the program, who's incarcerated. And then you do your letters electronically. So
Oh,
they get sent out for you. Often they get sent out through an online system, because a lot of the prisons now have their online email systems.
okay.
And some of them get printed and sent out. So,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's a really cool experience. And then you get physical letters in the mail, which is
Oh,
cool.
you also get
Well, either physical in the mail or you get them electronically. So kind of
oh,
depending on the prison, but
oh,
um,
interesting. That's cool.
yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like people can contribute via like mental health resources, cutting hair, donating high quality foods, giving
Mhm.
flowers. So there's a lot of different ways people could contribute, right? Whether it's at volunteer hours, like manpower, or
Mhm.
financially, sounds like. And it sounds like you're also looking for corporate donors, or I guess you can call them high net worth individuals that would this qualify as a tax write-off as well?
It is, yes, we are a registered 501(c)(3) nonprofit. Um, Definitely a tax write-off. And you can contact me. I can give you all the ways to donate.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's a lot of ways people can get involved. We also have volunteers all over the country who, if someone wants to help with getting the in-kind donation, call 20 Better Farms and see if you can
Hmm.
get us a donation, that sort of thing. Or
Oh,
we have volunteer grant writers who are really great and
huh.
helping us write grants. And so if you're moved by the project and want to participate, you can contact me and we'll find you a
Hmm.
way to get involved.
I, I know I keep switching gears a bit, but what you
Okay.
said about like dignity, giving them dignity, and helping formerly incarcerated folks like transition. So it sounds like there's a lot of moving pieces, obviously. Um, and I'm sure people have asked you, are you on Charity Navigator? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, we're like Guide Star and
Yes. Yeah.
Canada. Yeah, we're on that. Yeah, you can look
Okay.
us up. Unconditional freedom.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's like a big thing for a lot of people. It's like
Mhm.
checks the boxes. Um, and then so you mentioned yoga, meditation, garden programs. So I'm sure every prison is a little bit different, though, but how do you go about choosing like which prisons to that would be a part of it?
Yeah, so in terms of just our workbook program, anyone can write in and request it. And so, we were, I guess, advertising to prisons, or we not advertising, but we were like reaching out to people, and then now
Oh.
people reach out to us for the book. In
Mhm.
terms of teaching in person, we look at places that seem like they might already be trying some new things, because
Mm,
our program is quite radical. Like it's a different
mm,
idea to say, oh, actually, like don't punish people. And
mm,
fun enough, it's not like it's a new idea. That was the original intent of prisons, to be a
mm,
place for penitence and restoration. And they've
mm,
really morphed into this place that's like punishment,
mm,
dehumanization. Um,
mm,
and in our program, I don't think I mentioned, but our program also works with the whole ecology of a prison. So
mm,
we we have a whole program for the guards, and so really restoring them to the guardian.
mm,
Uh, you know, it's a very special position, but it's kind of devolved, and so
mm.
prison guards have such high suicide rates. They have a really intense jobs. And so, how do we restore dignity and humanity to them also?
Wow.
Um, yeah, so we work with prisons that seem open, that we have connections to, that, in our work, we meet great people and they say, oh, I know someone at this prison, are you interested in doing your program there? And so
Mm,
we did our first pilot at the Mendocino County Jail in Ukiah, and we did a huge garden program with them. We launched a garden program at the juvenile hall there.
mm,
We started the women's garden program, which they hadn't had for over 10 years. We did,
mm.
we got a $20,000 chicken coop donated for them. And so
Oh,
really just like
wow.
really giving the people there the whole experience of gardening and soil and
Mm,
ecology. We hired a full-time gardener for them. And so we did a big program there. And then we were at the Central California women's facility in Chowchilla, which is the
mm,
largest women's prison in the world. And there we went into what was considered the worst housing unit, like the maximum security
mm.
one. And then after a month of doing our program, people were trying to transfer into that unit because of all the positive reviews.
Wow.
So, and now many of our volunteers are in New York. And so we're looking at some of the prisons here in New Jersey and
Mm,
in New York and in Maryland and, Connecticut. We find connections. Someone comes
mm.
to a woman over dinner and, she's working in a prison in Connecticut. And so then we make those connections. So
So it sounds like there's many ways to contribute, right? It really does. And across the US too, right? Like not just in New York is what I'm
yeah.
hearing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. And
Wow.
our nonprofit, when we started in 2002, one of our mottos was fill what is empty, empty what is full, and it's this idea that I think applies to all of it, like our food. I have excess food. If I don't eat it, if it's in my
Mm,
fridge, it goes to waste, right? But I can give it to someone who actually needs food. And then they might
mm,
have some extra, like, joy and energy, and I get to fill up on some of that as I'm
mm.
serving, right? And then same
Yeah.
for if you have excess funds and it's
Mm,
just sits there, you can give it to someone, to our
mm.
program that could really use it and do something good with it. And so that's how
Yeah.
our donors feel also, whether it's financial donors or people donating food. They're like, thank you, please take this, take it and
Mm,
use it well. And that's what we
mm.
do.
That's beautiful. It sounds like it's very holistic, which sounds amazing, right? Because there's a lot of people that are addressing maybe symptoms and not getting to the root cause. So it sounds like it does with the dignity, the respect part is a big part of it. And yeah, it's just giving them an experience that they might not have ever had in their lives, right? Like with a whether it's a Michelin star chef or just like having nice things, right? It's a very humanizing thing on what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and we can see like our current prison systems don't work. People just go right back in, and they get so habituated to the routine, and they're not prepared for doing something different when they leave, And so our program, like you said, we don't want to just address the superficial. We want to get to the root.
Mm,
And if you treat someone with dignity, if you remind them that they matter, that they have impact in the world, that they have value, and you can
mm,
harness that, creativity inside of them, like everyone naturally wants to contribute. And so
mm,
and they become better contributors in society. So,
Hmm.
it's not, it has there's a purpose to it. It's not just like, oh, this sweet thing, treat people with dignity, but no, that actually, that perpetuates a cycle of dignity and contribution
Hmm.
in the world.
Yeah. Wow. It's really inspiring to hear, like, because we can focus on like a lot of the negativity and all the bad in the world, but there are like genuine people doing good work out there. So, I'm glad that we were able to share this. And so it sounds like the website is the best way to not only donate but to volunteer, to be a pen pal. Oh, and a reminder, right? If you are working at SD Lauder or Gucci or any corporation and you want to, and you're part of the social impact team, feel free to reach out to Caryn. And just a reminder, a lot of these corporations have match dollars as well, right? When I worked at LinkedIn, every dollar that I donate or that I fundraised, I remember I was raising a lot of money to build schools in Africa, and LinkedIn matched 1.5 so I was able to raise additional thousands of dollars because of that, right? So just if this resonates with you and you do have a generous match program, like don't forget to submit that as well, and the company will contribute as well. So
Yeah, thanks for that reminder. It's the companies are, they are happy to support, and so we're grateful for that.
yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing, Caryn. This has been I've learned a lot, and I'm sure people will reach out to you, whether it's on LinkedIn or just going to the website, sending you an email. But yeah, you're doing amazing work. So I just want to acknowledge you for your commitment, the generosity, like the love and the your heart that shines through, and the care that you have for people, right? Treating them with respect and dignity. It's much needed in the world. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. And then, yeah, if people, unconditionalfreedom.org. And then it's Caryn, Caryn at unconditionalfreedom.org. You can email me any questions or ways you want to get involved. And, thank you.
Um, and the stream. Okay.